The Purposes of God. Welcome again. I'm your host, Doug Krieger of the Tribulation Network, and this is video number 15 in our special 29 video series of The Purposes of God. In video 15 in The Purposes of God, we'll be discussing the years 2012, 2016, and 2018 or 19. This may pertain to Daniel's 70th week, yet future. Therefore, it would involve, in the year perhaps 2016, the infamous abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet and alluded to by Jesus in several texts in the Gospels, and ultimately the year of Jubilee. This is part one in this particular series. Let's take a look at the perimeter of the Temple Mount. As it turns out from the drawing that you can see, the perimeter of the Temple Mount in feet is equal to 5,040. This is Plato's famous 5,040 number. The Temple Mount dimensions and its proportions may be associated with time, for the temple's perimeter is 5,040 feet. Plato's utopian city of Magnesia, 5,040 divided by 2 is equal to the divine or sacred cubit of 2520. Other measurements indicate temple perimeter at 5,095 according to Wikipedia. However, upon further investigation, we have determined that the perimeter of the Temple Mount does equal the 5,040. The raised platform, the yellow in the center of the Temple Mount, within the Temple Mount, is equal to 2,016 feet. This is the estimate of its perimeter. Could it be related to a future prophetic year, 2016? The date that we have said could be the abomination of desolation. The year, that is. The difference between these two measurements repeats the perimeter of the Great Pyramid as well, which is 3,024 feet, or 5,040 feet minus 2,016 will equal 3,024 feet. That is the perimeter of the Great Pyramid. Again stated, if you take 5,040 feet as the perimeter of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, and you subtract the year 2016, this will give you the perimeter of the Great Pyramid in Egypt. 2016, 5,040, 2520. Where are we? Over here on my left, we see a picture of King Solomon dedicating the Solomonic Temple in year first begun in 962 BC. 5776 is the Hebrew calendar year for the Gregorian year 2016. The perimeter of the Jerusalem Temple Mount is, as we have stated, 5,040 feet. 5,040 minus 3,024, that is, the base of the Great Pyramid in Egypt at Giza, will equal the year 2016, as in 2016 AD. The Temple Mount perimeter of 5,040 is what Plato believed to be the perfect number of citizens of a utopian city called Magnesia. Also, 5,040 divided by 2 again equals 2520, the number of the sacred cubit. The question is this: is the year 2016 the midpoint of the tribulation? Will the 70th week of Daniel, the final 2,520 days, begin at the close of 2012, plus 3.5 days or years, that is half of Daniel's 70th week? It will equal to 2016 AD if this were to happen. Let's take a look at the Great Pyramid's height again of 481 feet. with the last 30 feet, the capstone, missing, and the year 2016 AD. The end point of 2016 AD is incorporated prominently in the most obvious feature of the Great Pyramid. Its height, 2016 AD, is the year 5776 in the Jewish calendar. This is the height of the Great Pyramid in inches, or 5,776 divided by the sacred inch, the 12 inches, will equal 481 feet. Now the 70th week of Daniel, or 2,520 days. This must be taken as a possible scenario. However, its prophetic ramifications astound, for if 5776 or 2016 AD bears prophetic significance, what significance is it? Because it is known that Solomon built the first temple in 7 years. Could there be a connection between Solomon's 7 years and the 7 years related to events surrounding the pivotal role that the third temple will play within the 70th week of Daniel's prophecy? (2012, 2016, the midpoint, and Daniel's 70th week. 2012. This author confirms that a growing number in the prophetic community agree that if December the 21st, 2012, the alleged commencement of the age of Aquarius, is the end of the great cycle and the start of the 70th week of Daniel, then the midpoint of the 70th week would be somewhere in 2016. Therefore, if we extend 3.5 years into the 70th week of Daniel from 2016, assuming that December the 21st, 2012 AD, or shortly thereafter, could mark the commencement of Daniel's 70th week, which is commenced by the Treaty of Hell and Death according to Daniel chapter 9 and verse 27, wherein it says that he will impose a defense pact upon Israel's leadership for 7 years, for 1 week. Then 3.5 prophetic years based on the Hebrew calendar of 360 days per year would mean at least 3 times 360 would equal 1080, that is 3 years, plus 180, that is 1/2 year, would bring us to 1,260 days, or 3.5 years. The abomination of desolation, the midpoint of the 70th week of Daniel. Could it be 2016 and the full manifestation of the beast, once termed the Antichrist, who turns into the beast? In Daniel's 70th week begins on or shortly after December the 21st, 2012. Then 1,260 days from that commencement later, 1/2 of Daniel's 70th week, would be approximately June of 2016. Or if chaotic conditions resulting from atmospheric, economic, and or civil unrest brought the world to the first Passover in 2013, which would be March the 26th on the Jewish calendar date, 2013 on the Gregorian, plus 3.5 prophetic years from that date, or 1,260 days, would bring us into the middle of the 70th week to the Jewish Feast of Tabernacles in 2016, or October the 17th, 2016, as a most likely date for the abomination of desolation and the manifestation of the beast and the desecration of the third temple. declare himself as God in the temple of God. We affirm that the abomination of desolation, the breaking of the treaty in Daniel chapter 9 verse 27, but in the middle of the week he shall bring an end to sacrifice, could take place at the Feast of Tabernacles in 2016. It bodes ominous for the world, as does October of that year. The abomination of desolation will occur within the third temple. The Antichrist becomes the beast, for Satan will embody Antichrist. Henceforth, he is known as the beast. Please see our chart on Daniel's 70th week. In our last slide here in number 15 of this video, the end of the 2,520 days and the 75 days, the year of Jubilee. Would that or could that be the year 2019 AD on the Gregorian calendar? The Tribnet confirms, along with Dr. Gavin Finley and now Mariana Tioran, the terminus of Daniel's 70th week and the additional 75-day extensions, Daniel 12 verses 11 through 12, will usher in the year of Jubilee. That is, declare liberty throughout the land, Leviticus 25. How is the next year of Jubilee calculated and related to 2012, 2016? For between 2012-13 and 2019, there are 7 years. What does the Hebrew calendar tell us of these future dates? This concludes video 15. Again, I am your host, Doug Krieger of the Tribulation Network. We now move on to video number 16 in this special prophetic series. Thank you for viewing and for listening.